We are going to be discussing about the challenges and the opportunities that are there in the food processing industry. And as many of you are aware, we have just recently launched a series of challenges along with the Ministry of Food Processing from Atal Innovation Mission. By way of introduction, my name is Ramanan. I'm the Mission Director of Atal Innovation Mission at NITI Aayog. As all of you are aware, NITI Aayog is the National Institution for Transforming India, and it has undertaken a series of initiatives at a national level to be able to see how we can leverage emerging technologies and solutions to benefit not only different states and different districts in our country, but also the nation and more importantly, the rest of the world. I do hope all of you who have logged on are continuing to be healthy and hale and hearty in spite of the difficult COVID-19 circumstances, and that all of you are following the safeguards that need to be practiced during these very difficult times, which have been advocated by your health authorities, by your local institutions, or by the organizations in which you are working in. Atal Innovation Mission was launched with the explicit purpose of one, fostering a culture of innovation in our country, and second, creating an ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurship that would enable innovative, talented young individuals or anyone who is talented and who is innovative to be able to express their creative potential through entrepreneurial initiatives and creating startups that our country needs. And all of you are aware, we are a large country. We are 1.3 billion people. We have more than 150 million young students who are entering into the workplace. We have what they call as a demographic dividend, which is the envy of many a country. We are experiencing a fast-growing economy, one of the fastest-growing economies of the world, barring the COVID-19 crisis, which has disrupted economies everywhere. But other than that, we have had a tremendous run. We enjoy the demographic dividend, like as they call, and we are also living in a world where technology is rechanging and reshaping the world and is enabling us to think about new solutions that the world needs. Now, in such an atmosphere where we have more than 1.3 billion people who have various demands, we have 715 districts in our country, which are spread all over from tier 1 cities to tier 2 cities, to tier 3 cities, to the rural landscapes, to the hilly coastal districts of our country, the northeastern districts, and so on and so forth, where we have more than 4,000 towns and small cities, and we have only 8 tier 1 cities. We badly need innovation to address the various challenges that our country has. And our country has many challenges. 22% of our country is still below the poverty line. 44% of our country is agri-economy based. And we have tremendous challenges in our aspirational districts, which are at least 115 of them, of the 715 districts are aspirational districts, where they don't have basic access to good healthcare, education, employment, clean drinking water and sanitation, affordable housing, and so on. So it is imperative that we become a nation of innovators and job creators rather than just job seekers. And we want our MSME industry to thrive under these circumstances because 70% of our informal economy and the informal workforce is associated with the MSME industry. So unless the MSME industry blossoms and blooms in our country, it is difficult for us to visualize a sustainable growth, a socio-economic progress that we all need. And that is why the Atal Innovation Mission, along with various ministries, have been launching what are known as ARISE challenges, Applied Research and Innovation for Small Enterprises. Now, these challenges are meant to be addressed by and for the MSME community, primarily in India. Of course, startups and MSMEs are all invited to apply for these challenges and offer their innovations, which is going to make a tremendous impact. And one of the important ministries who have partnered with us is the Ministry of Food Processing. And as all of you, as I mentioned earlier, 44% of our country is agri-economy based. But more importantly, not only do we have to look at how we can help the farmer increase their productivity and double their income, but there is a tremendous opportunity for us to be able to create value adding food processing industry that's going to make an impact not only for India and serve the needs of India, but is also going to serve the needs of the world. And in this, emerging technologies which are available, accessible, affordable, and advanced are playing a very important role in fashioning this industry. A small country like New Zealand, for example, exports food to the rest of the world, and they have only 3 million people and 33 million sheep. But still, they are one of the foremost agri exporters to the rest of the world. And that's because they use a whole lot of formal modern technology in their food processing, agri processing plants. They use agri tech for precision agriculture and for a whole lot of other purposes, and mainly for value adding food products. Now, there is a tremendous opportunity there. But creating just value adding food products is not enough. We also need to look at supply chains, we need to look at storage systems, we need to look at renewable energies, and so on and so forth. But no better than the two people whom we have today on our panel to share their views, their thoughts. What are the challenges? What are the opportunities? What is their experience been in the food processing industry? So I'm delighted today to introduce two of our esteemed panelists, and they are very well known in the industry. Rama Devi, who is the chairperson of ALEAP Foundation, and she is also the chairperson of the Atal Incubator at ALEAP. And they have been doing tremendous work in the areas of food processing and other technologies, particularly for women-led entrepreneurship and women-led innovation. Harish Hande is well known across the country for his focus through the Selco Foundation on particularly rural India, tier 2, tier 3 districts for driving social innovation and being able to bring the benefits of social innovation to the entrepreneurial world and create livelihoods and entrepreneurships across the country. Now, I am delighted that they both are here to share their views and their knowledge about what are the opportunities and what are the challenges. So let me start off with Rama Devi. Rama Devi, can you briefly give your own journey in the food processing industry and the number of startups that you have been able to initiate and you have been able to create through your initiatives? It will be great for people to hear what you saw as the opportunities, what you saw as the challenges, and how you were able to overcome through your entrepreneurial initiative and through the startups that you're creating. Over to you, Rama.
Thank you, Ramanan sir. It's a great opportunity for me to address this gathering. And a very apt topic like food processing is very close to my heart because we have been in this line since 20 years, almost encouraging MSMEs to get into food processing sector. In fact, we have collaborated with the Ministry of Food Processing on various projects like building up the total integrated infrastructure for food processing industries under their one of their schemes and infrastructure. We are supported by the ministry in providing required infrastructure as common facilities for food processing industry. Coming to the scenario today, sir, as our Honorable Prime Minister, he went beyond his capacity also, I can say, in announcing Aatmanirbhar scheme for all MSMEs, particularly for food processing industry under Arise Your Own, in the Niti Aayog. I think it's a great opportunity for youngsters who are looking forward to getting into this area. Sir, India ranks number 1 in milk producing. I need not say to the even audience because we almost, we are number 1 in the production of milk, but coming to the processing of it, we are only doing it 30%. So there is an abundant demand for the process of milk in various, areas like making curds or making some kind of value addition in the form of butter, everything. There's a tremendous opportunity. And when we look at only 35% is processed, what about the rest of 65% which can be processed and supplied? As you said, it can become I mean, we can target those areas like milk and fruits and vegetables. We are second in the world. So, but what's happening to the production? What is happening to the processing line? It's only 286 metric ton we are producing, but only 2% is processed. This is something which we need to address with wonderful support from Government of India under various schemes, particularly from the Ministry of Food Processing and also from Niti Aayog under RISE project, which you recently announced, with where you are hand-holding for innovation up to maximum limit of 50 lakhs is such a wonderful way of encouraging youngsters to become entrepreneurs as world suppliers, not for local. We should be I mean fruit food bowl for the whole world. This is my dream, in fact. And looking at after post COVID, I mean, COVID is not over, but still looking at the opportunities post COVID, sir, we are going to have a tremendous demand on our organic foods and spices and other nutraceuticals which we can manufacture. So there's a tremendous market opening up for our Indian entrepreneurs. So it's a opportunity. Like when we come to the challenges, sir, I think though there is a very focused address by the government in encouraging FDI, 100% FDI and 100% approval and online approvals, everything is they are doing. But and even we have a very regulatorily, I mean, domestic food safety standards, which are harmonized with international standards. So we can become a lot of international brands. So, but this need to be enhanced in a very big way with regards to infrastructure and logistics and supply chain management. Is the need of the day. There we have to focus. And it can be an entrepreneur model also, because under Ministry of Food Processing, there are wonderful schemes where infrastructure like food park of 50 acres will be encouraged by a grant from Government of India. If an entrepreneur is interested to set up a food park, I mean, they are supporting it under their infrastructure scheme. In the same way, cold storage and logistic chain, and also even tracking mechanism using information technology for tracking the product. This kind of support is extended. Sir, you have to unmute. I can't hear you.
Sorry, yeah. So I'll be coming back to you with some questions on this particular point that you mentioned, where technology can play a role in some of the innovations that we are looking at and the challenges. Let me now go to Harish. Harish, you have, I don't know how many people know your background. You're from IIT Kharagpur. You went to the US and got a master's degree and later a PhD in engineering from the University of Massachusetts Lowell. You co-founded Selco India to eradicate poverty by promoting sustainable technologies in rural India. You were awarded several awards by Karnataka Rajyotsava Prasati, Social Entrepreneur of the Year by Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship in 2007. India Today conferred you the 21 Young Leaders for India's 21st Century. And also in 2011, you were awarded Magsae Award. We are delighted to have you today, Harish. Tell me a little about what do you think are the opportunities in the food processing industry for particularly in rural India? And what are the innovations that are required in order to be able to boost the food processing industry? In particular, Harish, you are aware, and both you and Rama would be aware, that we have launched 3 challenges. One is waste to wealth in food processing. How do we effectively utilize commercial food processing industry waste streams in a constructive, reusable manner? We are talking about a circular economy, and how does that help? The second very important challenge is alternative food packaging materials. This has become now even more important in the COVID-19 crisis because there is a fear of contamination, there is a fear of contact related spread. And so there is a need and a demand for alternative food packaging materials. What are some of the possibilities there? For example, we have been hearing terms like single-user plastics, materials from food waste and biosources, and so on. And the third area, which we have launched a challenge is, and we'll come back to Ramadevi on that. What is the machinery? What is the innovation in machinery for indigenous food products? Development of machinery for indigenous and optimized processing conditions, and machinery for bulk production of native Indian product. So these are the three arise challenges that we have launched. Of course, the solutions can be many, but what are some of the innovations that suggest to yourself, and where do you see the most pressing needs?
रमानंद साहब सर आपको शायद कोई नहीं मिला एम्बेरेस करने के लिए तो मैं ही पकड़ा आपने मुझे पकड़ा आज नहीं thank you Ramanan sir for inviting me and for this opportunity because as you know I mean while people have been very negative about COVID-19 overall across the world, but this is an opportunity for a country like us, frankly speaking, a country like us which is very decentralized in its nature, where 86% of the farmers are growing perishable goods and on small holding farmers. As we and this is where larger supply chains have been destroyed one way or the other because of COVID and the transportation and the lockdown, where it has pushed back the rethinking of the model about what is consumption and how do we decentralize? I mean, how do we create these bubbles of 100 kilometers and 200 kilometers and 300 kilometers of self-sustainability that is known for, and rightly so. When you started the conversation today, you said that how can many of the innovations be applicable for the world, which is very critical, what you mentioned, because now that you look at even if I look at the AIC Selco's work in the Northeast, okay, very small place of 45 million people. Any innovation that we do, Ramanan Saab, is absolutely applicable for Tanzania, se leke Brazil, se leke Philippines, okay, for other states, even that. Let me look at what are the opportunities for the youngsters, okay? When people say ki hoga nahi, there are a lot of opportunities in the sense, simple like innovations in a roti rolling machine, okay? How do we create entrepreneurs? How do you create a roti rolling machine which makes lots of rotis on a daily basis, which a person can actually sell it to the local restaurants, local residential schools, everything. That's an added value rather than making 10, 15, 20, 100 chapatis for local 20 people. She can now actually make 500 to 1,000. Now, there are groups of women who have got together and bought 3 and 4 machines, Ramanan Saab, Gulbarga mein baith ke, raat ko they put it in a bus and it's sold in Bangalore. What it has connected to the women of local Dharwad to Bangalore, right? But somebody had to innovate the roti rolling machine. Same thing. There are so much opportunities in poha, flat rice, in moody making in Odisha, and if you look at the Northeast, there's a huge. It's one of the gene pool of citrus foods. Jackfruit is being wasted. I mean, jackfruit. I mean, if we get in good technologies for drying pulp, every jackfruit, and from Kerala, make it more innovative, the whole Meghalaya jackfruit can actually be exported across to other parts of the world. So there is a tremendous innovation that is needed in technology, and we are not talking of high-tech technologies like X-ray machines or rocket launch. It's like simple, good roti rolling machine, dryers, a jackfruit processing unit, chips making. How do you mass scale cut potatoes, where a local farmer or a local entrepreneur can actually make chips at the local level itself, rather than selling just potatoes to some middleman. So the opportunities of innovation, and as far the critical part, Ramanan Saab, is that we need to manage the value chain from potatoes, from starting of growing, where you look at technology to look at water pumping and better irrigation of potatoes, to cold storages, to chips making. So everywhere there is a wonderful way of technology innovation. And I come back to your point, it is applicable for a very small farmer or very large farmer. So we can export it to that process to Tanzania as well as Brazil. So exciting time to be in this space. An exciting time for AICs, I say, because they've now become hubs of innovation, which was started and which you're leading is truly is the time for us to showcase that and especially in the food processing, because that's where our game has to be played, because 85% of our or 70% of our farmers are on the perishable goods, and what you have put out is very, very critical, Ramanan sir.
Excellent, excellent, Harish. I think you set the context for a very lively discussion on this subject, because what you pointed out was the entire chain. You know, you can look at the entire food chain from the farm to the market. That's what they are looking at,
Right.
from the farm to the to the fork, as they say. You know, that is that common phrase that is heard. But in between, at every stage, you need innovation. You need innovation to be able to grow it well. You need innovation to be able to preserve it. You need innovation to be able to transport it. You need innovation to be able to distribute it properly. You need innovation for it to be packaged properly. You need innovation for it to be created into something new. Modifications in terms of the value-added food products, whether it is chips or whether it is, you name it. Just from a potato, there is so many different products that come out from potatoes. So it is amazing the number of products that can come out. And if you take some of the strengths that we have in India, like coconut trees in abundance and banyan trees in abundance, and so on and so forth, there are many parallel industries through innovation that can emerge out of it, whether it is the jute industry or whether it is the use the coconut shells, the coconut water, the coconut milk, and so on and so forth. So many value-adding products can come. Now, I come back to Rama Devi and taking the point which Harish said. What you in particular, you have been actually setting up a machinery so that there is a lot of entrepreneurs who can use that machinery for creating livelihoods for themselves and become entrepreneurs themselves. What are some of the technology based innovations that will help in mass scale entrepreneurship development in the food industry for indigenous food products? Can you give some idea, Ramadevi, based upon your own vast experience and some of the stuff that I have seen in your place? I think you're on mute. Can't hear you. Yeah,
Yeah,
Rama.
we've been addressing this and bringing innovation through latest technology in the sense like bringing the latest machinery to showcase to the entrepreneurs so that they can adopt it.
Also let me know whether, there is so much talk about IoT technologies and AI technologies and so on. Do they have a place in the food processing industry, or is it not meant for the food processing industry? What are your thoughts on that?
Actually, sir, when we interact with our entrepreneurs today, the youngsters, like those who are leaving the college and they want to get into entrepreneurship because of various schemes of government and encouragement by Atal Incubation Mission, a lot of demand is there for food processing sector. And when we look at, innovation happening in the machinery part also, I have come across a few very good entrepreneurs who wanted to start, uh, technology adoption and starting innovation labs for testing the food with ultraviolet rays. So this is something which they want to bring it forward and showcase that you are 100% improve your food, whatever you are consuming. And these are innovative thoughts which are coming from entrepreneurs themselves. So in the same way, to preserve food, before we used to add some chemical and say that the food is for 1 year like that. But now they don't want to add any chemicals. They want preservation technology like freeze drying and other technologies which can be adopted. And I would like to mention, sir, we have a wonderful institution mechanism like IIFT from Tanjavur, CFTRI, and even NIFTEM. These are the institutions which really bring the required machinery to us so that we can adopt the new technology. No point in doing the things in the old-fashioned way. We have to adopt to the new technology. For example, I'll give you one of our startup, Her name is Volga. She's from Arca Foods. Yesterday, I have seen her product in Puro Naturals, sir. It's one of the branded store. What she did is green leafy vegetables. She had done solar drying. I was trying to share this with Harish also. In the farm level itself, she collected that and she did a solar drying of green leafy vegetables. So she made them into powder and wonderfully packed in an eco-friendly packing. And she supplied to Puro Natural. So they are selling in a box, and just put a 2 spoonsful of green leafy vegetables. Your curry is made. So instead of cooking it for some time and cleaning it and everything, all the things are minimized, and you just have to add 2 spoons to your dal, and your curry is made. So this is the technology intervention which she has adopted with solar dryers. It's a simple machine. Solar dryers are nothing, but everybody knows about them. But she has taken it to the farm level, and chilies and all these dry fruits, fruits, perishables are solar dried. So this is something, even you can address the wastage in food through this kind of machinery access to entrepreneurs. What I was suggesting is you can have a livelihood incubations in villages where farmers also take advantage of it. So these freeze drying technologies and waste can be converted into organic manure. These are the machines which we require, and there's no dearth for machinery suppliers in India. We have a wonderful list of machinery suppliers who can do this. We are also, fortification of rice is also something, fortification of not only rice, but all cereals and everything. Today, what we need is, because everybody wants the nutrition diet. So these need to be addressed with some kind of what I feel is common facilities, sir. Though I sound everybody cannot afford this kind of machinery, but it can be a common facility so that entrepreneur can take advantage.
You're right. See, what we are actually wanting through these challenges is that we want the innovation, and then that innovation can be scaled up. It can be manufactured with the help of partners, with the help of incubators, with the help of facilities, common facilities. That there are many people willing to fund it, but we are looking at the innovation that is going to uniquely create a difference in the value addition, or in the waste management, or in the packaging, and so on. So I come back to Harish. Harish, you rightly said that any innovation that we do here can have, it was so beautifully mentioned by the Prime Minister. He said, "Be vocal for local." Why? So that it can then become global. You're not just being vocal for local, but when you're vocal for local and you start using, there is a saying that you should eat your own dog food. Then only you know the quality of the stuff that you are creating, right? And so when you are having a demand locally, then it's going to generate high quality products, and those high quality products then have a global market. And we know how to do it at the most economic. Frugality has been within our DNA of the country. Affordable solutions are something that we always look at because we have excelled in it, in fact, and done a great job. And like you said, I always use the phrase, how do you ensure that a product or a service or a process gets exported from Sikkim to Seattle, or from Salem to San Francisco, right? That's the sort of thing, that is the potential. Now, can you tell me, in these two areas, which I think the entire world is actually worried about, waste to wealth conversion, waste to wealth management, we are generating so much amount of waste in the food. Some of the statistics that she gave, Rama Devi gave, are indeed, mind-boggling, that only 2% of the milk is actually being converted into value-added products, and there must be a lot of waste also going into the system. Now, one is the organic waste, and then the inorganic waste. And the second part is the packaging. Packaging, there is so much of plastics being used, etc. One is we want to know how to eliminate them. Second is we are looking for innovations of reusing them in a circular economy. How do you do that? So what are some of your thoughts on the opportunities there?
No, I think what I also pick both your points, Raman ji and Ramanan ji, is that the asset, the output to the world is not only technology. The output of the world to the world is also the business model and delivery models for us. So we
Correct.
become not only made in India, we become thought in India. Right? We become an area. This was thought in India and made in India, and then how do we look at it's more about the one step we have ahead of China is that we are not just traders. We are technology as well as facilitators of business models in a manner that poor in Tanzania also get out of poverty. We are saying we are not interested in just selling technology. We are also interested in making the poor of Tanzania or Philippines also get out of poverty, and that's the beauty of India. It's looking at the well-being of everybody. That's exactly where we've been, as you said, we've been in resource poor areas. We have been effective in recycling overall. I mean, cow dung we have been recycling for years, or you areca nut plates we make it. I think those are models. Today what happens, Ramanan Saab, is only we focus sometimes on technology. जाके हम इन्वर्टर बेच देते हैं, राइट? नाइजीरिया में इन्वर्टर नहीं, हमको पूरा इलेक्ट्रिक सिस्टम हम लोग को डिजाइन करना चाहिए. We have to design the whole biogas system. It's not only biogas system but the milk supply chain. Okay, this much milk gets wasted, you can actually make sure that it's not wasted. Or how do we make sure that 50% of what you produce is utilized in a local manner, so that you don't need so much of packaging to be actually done. See, it's a combination of that business models, delivery, and local consumption, which will lead to sustainability of local areas. But I just also want to pick up a point what Ramaji said. A lot of people today, what has happened in COVID, that individual entrepreneurs will be taking risk on some. So that's where a country like India, we need to go back to the concept of cooperative or FPO model, the farmer producing organizations, where a bunch of people get together and say, I want to put up a larger machinery like a rice mill or 4 roti rolling machine or a guava making in a micro business setting, which is partly, I would say, just like you and me utilize the subsidies of the airport, which is an asset to the country, these micro businesses become an asset to the poor, where the operational costs are taken, the overall GDP of the village actually goes up. I think the innovativeness of a business model, say assets, road is a long-term asset, airport is a long-term asset, cold storage and micro businesses are a long-term asset for the FPO. So the challenge is, how do we come up and work with NABARD to create a 10-year financing for the micro businesses that Ramaji was talking about? So we decentralize the risk of individual entrepreneurs, not taking the risk saying कि अगर मैं एक machine डाला, the market linkage is not absent, but 20 women coming together makes it a huge change in terms of market linkages, scale, and bargaining power. And I think that is where wastages today happen also, Ramananji, is like also the way the smaller businesses are structured leads to wastage in a lot of these wastages, because abhi tomato phek dete hain. But as we look at little scaler 10, 15, 20 people getting together for micro businesses, your waste is actually ready. And I would encourage for local consumption to happen, and the local markets are never tapped in a proper manner. And the last part I just wanted to push good part about AIC is that AICs are, people should not look at AICs just as innovation centers, but they are also, there's another word there, incubation. And that's a business model. That is what will make our country resilient. It's technology and incubation that will get the country up, Ramanan sir.
Thanks for bringing that point, Harish. And that's something that I wanted to emphasize. You know, all of you who are responding to these challenges, irrespective of whether you ultimately win or not, your innovation has an opportunity to find its place in the market. You know, I never look upon the challenge is an opportunity for you to think and to innovate and to come up with a great idea. And whether you are among the top 2 winners or 3 winners or whatever, that is incidental. I am sure a great idea will find a route somewhere. And what we also plan to do is not only the top winners, but also the others who are very promising innovations. We want to introduce them to all our incubators so that you can potentially become an incubator. So your journey is not a journey of wanting to win the prize. Your journey of wanting to make a difference through your innovation and create an impact. And we want to facilitate the creation of that impact by latching you on to our incubators like Selco, like ALEAP, like the 68 other incubators that are out there, and more are coming up in the marketplace. Because that is the idea, that your innovation becomes a product, and your product becomes a company, and a company becomes a multinational. And that is the opportunity. The second point, I think, Harish ji, that you brought out is the demand that is there. We are very fortunate in our country that we already have demand. So scale is automatic. If you have a good solution, you'll find 10 districts first. You pilot it there, suddenly you have another 50 districts wanting it, then you have another 100. The demand is explosive. And when you have an explosive demand, the potential for your innovation to be applied and thereby also continuously improve, adapting itself to different situations, is very high. So I think these are some of the things that we look for when you are giving and your response to this challenge. Be very innovative. Think about what is missing out there. What is it that is missing in the packaging industry, which can be easily fixed through this simple innovation. And as Harish said, it need not be a very complex innovation. It can be very simple. In fact, most innovations are simple. It is as good as why didn't I think about it, right? When you see a great innovation, you always say, oh, I should have thought about it. Why did I wait for so long for this innovation to happen? So tell me, Ramaji, you have now, I think, about 52 startups, right? Or somewhere around that in your AIC. I don't know the exact number. But how many are not only the food processing industry, but the food processing industry is related to other industries too, the energy industry and so on. So is there any cross innovation that happens between the food processing industry and some other industry that you find startups can find an opportunity for? Because that is also welcome in all this waste to wealth. For example, you may want to connect your food industry with some other industry which wants that waste, right? And how do you apply that? Any examples that you can give or anything that you can share on this?
Yeah. Sir, this concept of waste to wealth we have adopted after have encouraged us through Atal incubation mission. In fact, we have taken cornstarch and we are making biodegradable packing material. Starch is used as packing material. It's an alternative to plastic. We are trying to even PP kits are also made by starch. So this is also we have introduced from our Atal incubation mission. Not only that, sir, in fact, we got an opportunity to work with the banana farmers. There we identified a very wonderful opportunity to make the bark which is getting wasted, we converted into product. We are making, packing for food processing sector. These covers, everything are made through this waste of banana bark. And we did not use plastic covers for the packing. So this is another innovation we created in Vijayawada, where banana is grown in abundant, and those after the tree is cut and it is thrown out as waste, but now the farmer is getting some income out of it. The waste is converted into wealth. So here we created a facility where the processing is done through machines, and sheet is made, and this is used for even sanitary napkins and also packaging, and also now IKEA, like big companies, they need this material to be used for various waste paper baskets and these kind of things. So this is simple. Logically, what I mean to say is we need to think out of the box and see where we are really have advantage. So anything now in this world, I don't think anything can be wasted. Everything can be put to use. So when we talk about the other industries, like, biofuels and all, we can, out of biotechnology, we can make biofuels by the waste material. And also, when we talk about biogas and even organic, I was reading, because I had this meeting today, I was going through the waste, waste done by restaurants and all. It is mind boggling, they are wasting so much food. But it can be converted into energy. It can be converted into some kind of, organic manure for farmers. You can give them freely. Why we should waste? So, but this has to be institutionalized. This has to be some kind of mechanism where the collection has to be there. And one more, sir, one more thing you asked me is how we can use the information technology in this area. I remember going to Germany for Anuga trade fair. There's long back. This is 15 years back. I have seen a tracking mechanism for food products. Every packet got a tracking mechanism. If it is manufactured, date is past, or they have to get rid of that packet. Automatically, the tracking says that this packing is outdated. You have to remove it from your shelf. This kind of interventions we require in food processing, sir. Last point, sir. We need some kind of cooperation with large companies. Like I remember one of our experts talking about Coca-Cola when they came to India 30 years back. We never had a good quality sugar. Even the farmers need to be educated to produce a good quality product. So only, this processing sector will flourish. This comes to, what I say is corporate and entrepreneur and farmers, everybody need to work together with the government. So this is how a mutual cooperation only will help us. So then Coca-Cola started training the farmers with for producing good sugar cane. Then they are able to supply. Like that, likewise, we need to invite international players to help our farmers and also to, penetrate to the huge big markets because we have that potential.
Excellent, excellent. I think you hit a very important point, and collaboration is key. And how do we facilitate collaboration between various stakeholders in the system? And these stakeholders are not just two startups trying to work together, or two incubators working together, or just two, but the entire stakeholders is all the users of the system, the manufacturers, the producers, the consumers. And how do we bring them all together? And then there are partners, there are financiers, there are international collaborators, there are NGOs who want to leverage your product if it is going to convert from waste to wealth. There are a large number of NGOs which would want to be able to propagate that and promulgate that in many, many parts of the world. So I come back to Harish. Harish, you have, one of the very interesting thing that I find, innovation happens when you have multiple industries working together to solve a problem. Because it is at the crossroads of two industries that often innovation is at its best. Take, for example, you are in the you have great focus on the renewable energy and the energy industry. And that has been one of your passions. But it is also intimately related to the food industry. So can
Absolutely.
you bring out the power of collaboration between two different industries in order to create an innovation in a particular industry, or maybe it will benefit both the industries?
So I'll start with one specific example and then I'll lead to the food, Ramanan Saab. For example, we have incubating under the AIC called a structure. Structure, the entrepreneur does is basically uses the stubble, agri stubble, and makes it into panels for the walls and roofs. So we actually built a 50-bed hospital in COVID hospital in Patna, a 50-bed COVID hospital using completely that structure. And then
Excellent.
and then way the Selco actually worked was the design of the building. So you looked at daylighting for many of the patients and solar lighting fitted into the building itself. It was a mix between building design, the structure, and as well as the hospital efficiency of every equipment that they bought. So was that X-ray machine was the most efficient so that it used less power. So it was a combination of health, solar energy, and as well as building material, right? Similarly, the beauty what happens in the sustainable energy is because we always want to know ki use least amount of solar and batteries. So we are pushing for efficiency of a roti rolling machine. I'm just giving an example, a roti rolling machine, and say that how can it be made most efficient so that it uses less solar power, so it's affordable for the poor. So you're pushing the innovators to be making it the most efficient. And how can the like a mechanical engineering and the solar engineering as well as the building design, see, even if you look at a pottery machine or a roti rolling machine in a kitchen, is the kitchen designed very well like a Ford factory or a Hyundai factory? Like it should not be like so the building design, the motor design of a roti rolling machine as well as the solar part becomes a highly effective sustainable product for the poor to actually. And secondly, Ramaji, it will be, what happens is we are telling to the innovators is, boss, ठीक है boss, technology, but this is also an exciting place of food processing is an exciting as new type of rocket launch or a new app, because how do I create every innovation that we do also includes women as end users? See, how do we make sure that a blacksmith blower or a black hammer mill, like used to hammer, how can I innovate a technology that women also become blacksmith blowers, right? How can I make a roti rolling machine where women are entrepreneurs? So pushing these, telling these youngsters who are there in the webinar, Ramanan Saab, is this is the most exciting place in food processing in India. You can't get a better place to innovate, boss. And no, don't run after some other technology in some other country. This is where I think where SDG 7, SDG 3, SDG 4, SDG 8, every industry. I want to build a hospital. I want to build a large food processing unit. I want to build a small processing unit, solar energy, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, architects, social engineering, everything actually comes together. And that's where we have a sustainable society. And I think that's where the youngsters should get excited about.
Exactly.
What else?
Yeah. Please go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
So this to take advantage of the AICs that we have, the tinkering labs, the maker spaces that we have created, and where the country is putting and you yourself putting a lot of attention on infrastructure. It's not about creating a small app somewhere for some TikTok or a competition ticket, but the whole India is like, if we have to move the needle of innovation, we need to look at the infrastructure of the AICs that have been built.
Excellent. I think you could not have put it better, Harish, and you put it in such an enthusiastic manner. I'm sure the audience who have been listening to it should be spurred towards and go towards innovations in food processing. And by the way, it has been the most ancient industry in the world. Agriculture was the first innovation of human beings. I mean, we evolved to what we are today because of agriculture. We could not have grown, we could not have done without farming coming in. And before anything came in, farming was the first innovation that the human beings did. And it still continues, because today, even today, it is how do we, at the end of the day, we all need not only to survive, but to thrive and to live in a sustainable planet. And we want to make sure that food does not become a luxury for anybody. It is a need, it is a necessity, and necessity has always been the mother of innovation and invention. So we have to be able to innovate, and it is as exciting as any other, as a rocket in space or whatever, etc. Take for example, even if you take a space shuttle today, they are innovating on how do you package the material properly and you don't waste it, so that an astronaut in space is able to he's not collecting plastic and garbage there, but it becomes biodegradable and disposable and so on, or reusable and so on. So there is tremendous amount of innovation available. I think we are running out of time, so I'd like the two of you to share your final messages to the young innovators out there. And I think, Harish, you brought it out very well. This is an exciting field, but still, what is I personally believe that India can become and will become the leader of innovation across the world, because it has a demographic dividend, it has the people, it has a capability, and it has a need. Rarely do you find you may have intelligent people, but you don't have the need. You have the need, but you don't have intelligent people. And here you have a combination of both. Right. So you have that in our DNA. I think innovation is in our DNA. But a final message to all the young innovators out there aspiring through this Arise Challenge, and also what opportunities you are facilitating through your incubators and through your initiatives. Start off with Rama, and then we'll end it up with Harish.
Sir, last submission, I just would like to point out the fish produce space is growing like anything because of various schemes of government or whatever. Farmers, they never stop producing. Even during COVID time, we have an abundant supply of food products in India. That's one thing which we need to highlight, and also the youngsters need to take advantage of this. To build up infrastructure and make it possible for exports to happen. The fresh product is in high demand, like for fruits or vegetables are in such a demand. It can be your enterprise, where you can supply to the countries where it is needed. Because often what happens is farmers waste the product because they are not able to do the supply chain. In the supply chain management, there are certain hurdles. So they have to see the gaps and pitch into that and make money. Not only make business, but also this helps the farmer who is in need of it. I feel that is a social commitment from our young entrepreneurs to come to the rescue of the farmers who need them. And this sector holds a wonderful opportunity, sir. I have no doubt about it. Will become food bowl for the whole world. So take advantage of Aspire scheme and other schemes. And also we would like to be in the forefront for livelihood incubation in villages where the value addition is done. So that, as I was mentioning, it's a community-based livelihood incubations where income is generated and employment is created, and also migration is restricted. So these things are needed from the government, and we need a support from Niti Aayog in these aspects, sir. And I also wish them good. COVID has given us an opportunity. In fact, the nutraceuticals and all are picking up like anything. It's a wonderful opportunity ahead, and we are going to be number one in this food processing sector. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Ramaji and Harish.
Ramanan sir, I think to the youngsters, I think the only challenge is, I think we should stop complaining. And because a person who invented the wheel did not complain and say, I can't go, he actually thought about, or he or she thought about a solution. I think there is nothing stopping you. I'm sorry if somebody comes, Ramanan sir, koi bhi youngster aata ki ye nahi hota, wo nahi tha, boss, give me 5 solutions, it will all happen. So if you are, this is a high time we stop complaining. The huge opportunity in front of you. And youngsters, if you're doing one complaint, look at the mirror, you're just giving an excuse of how not to do it. And there are so many ICs, and there are so many tinkering labs, there are so many innovative centers. And if you're looking at something at the Northeast, come to center in Guwahati, and we will make sure that what you want to fail 10 times, please use our facilities to fail. And then you will succeed. So question is, but the most important thing is that you want to innovate, start owning the problem. Don't do a lot of Google search. Usse kuch nahi hone wala. Jaake field mein dekho boss kya problem hai. Feel the problem. Analyze mat karo 86%, 48%, a graph, o graph. First own the problem. I think that's where the excitement is, owning the problem. Fir to solution aa jayega. Ramanan sir, most of the time solution leke aa jate hain, fir pata nahi chalta kahan problem fit karna hai. Own the problem, and stop complaining. That's all. I mean, it's completely a blank slate for yourself.
I think that's a great way of ending it. Take ownership to solve the problems that you see in and around your community. As a great Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see. And you can be the architect of the change. You can be the innovator who makes a difference, who leaves a ding in the universe. And as Harish rightly pointed out, there is so much opportunity out there. There are so much need. And the word fail, as the great Abdul Kalam said, is only the first attempt in learning. So there is nothing called failure in a startup's world. It is always the first attempt in learning, or it is only success. And even in success, there is a learning. And so, my dear young innovators who are out there who are listening to this call, I do want every one of you to participate wholeheartedly, enthusiastically, apply your creative potential to the ARISE challenges, the 3 challenges that we have launched. We are looking at the primary applicant being an MSME, a registered MSME or a registered startup. If you are an individual innovator with a bright idea, pair yourself with a MSME applicant or a startup applicant, because you will need their support in order to make your innovation come live. And we are all having October 31st as the deadline. So please put in your applications before that and make sure it is a quality application, it's a quality innovation, because we are going to select the best. And when we select it, we are going to support it to make you successful with the help of our incubators like Selco, like ALEAP, like all the other incubators that are there. We'll be providing you mentoring support. We'll be providing business planning, strategy support, and all the other support that is required in order to make your innovation successful. I do hope every one of you have enjoyed this session. I have enjoyed it thoroughly. Thank you, Harish. Thank you, Rama, for spending your valuable time. It's been wonderful listening to you. Very educative, very enlightening, and very stimulating. And all the very best to everybody. Be safe. Have a great evening, and looking forward to your application. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.